guys, I'm just here to do a process video with you. Again, I did one last week and quite enjoyed it, so I thought I would do one again. The only thing is, last week I seemed a little bit more organised. I kind of had a more structured idea of what I was doing and where I was going, because I was just doing kind of 3 set embellishments. Today I'm kind of freestyling a little bit more. So I have brought along this that I'm working on at the moment. So this is going to be an altered book. It was just a pile of kind of vintage books that they were chucking out at work. And I thought I would pick them up. So I think they're from kind of the 50s or 60s. So I thought I would bring it along and kind of have a go. So that's what I'm doing, working on this. And basically my inspiration from this, let me grab this to show you. Been working quite a lot with my children's encyclopedias. Let me just redirect my light. Right, been working quite a bit with my children's encyclopedias lately, and I made what was going to be a little kit using these images from Old Mother Goose, the nursery rhyme. It originally looked similar to this page here. Hopefully you can kind of see that with lots of different images and the rhyme. So basically I cut out kind of tore out or cut out the little images and made these little kind of bits, which was my starting point for what was going to be a kit. So I'll just kind of show you one or two. Little flip there. And they were going to be a little kit, but obviously, as you can see, I haven't decorated them or done anything more with them. That's kind of as far as I've got. So obviously they're far from, you know, what would be a kit at the moment. And then just kind of decided, well, you know, I think I'll try and make a journal with them because I really thought they were super cute. So I'm going to try and make this one. Now, at first, I was going to obviously stick with the colourways, which was kind of the yellow, and then I also incorporated this green coloured paper. But sometimes I find that I get a little bit kind of obsessed with, oh, I must only use kind of a couple of colours. And I'm going to kind of go all out now and mix it up completely. So I had this gorgeous paper, which unfortunately I haven't bought the remainder of the page. I'm at my son's desk again. I've bought every single thing with me, you know, all bar the kitchen sink, and I've forgotten to bring that paper. But basically it was a page full of these flowers, and obviously I started, you know, I've coffee stained the paper, and then I've started fussy cutting the little clusters of flowers out, which I thought, although you wouldn't initially maybe put these with the nursery rhyme images, actually I quite liked them together, weirdly enough. So I have got more of the paper left to fussy cut. I've only done about half the 12 by 12 sheet so far, but I thought, you know, let's give it a go today. So I'm going to start here with the front page and the inside of the cover. I don't always start a journal that way. I kind of randomly just go to whichever page kind of takes my fancy at the time. But today I think I'm going to start with this one. So obviously this is introducing the rhyme, Old Mother Goose. So I quite like that for the, you know, the first page. And then I've just got this piece of paper, which was just, again, some 12 by 12 paper that I've coffee dyed, that I thought then went quite nicely with the fussy cut flowers, which if I just bring them here. So kind of went quite nicely, and obviously ties in then, you know, the green with the pinks. So that was why I chose that. And as you can see, it's just literally a kind of offcut. So that's what that is. Sorry, I forgot to say, the book has been kind of prepared according to, I think it's Crafty Irina's kind of tutorial, where you kind of, you know, every so often tear out a chunk of pages depending on the thickness of the book. So I didn't go with 8 pages, which was what she had suggested, because this book wasn't too thick in the first place. But I've done that, and then I've kind of glued some together to form little pockets, and others are just single sheets. So that's those. And then what I've started to do on a few of the pages is just very roughly paint them with pink acrylic paint. So this is the acrylic paint, and I've just literally very roughly kind of painted over the pages. That was the look I was going for. It's not that I've kind of missed out bits. I like that kind of look. I didn't want solid colour on the page. And obviously a lot of it's going to be covered up once we stick down kind of embellishments and what have you anyway. So getting started on the front cover, I haven't actually added any paint to here. I could do, but I might not. So what I'm going to probably do is stick all my elements down, and then if I fancy painting, sometimes what I've done in altered books is then painted afterwards, and then you can kind of go over some of the paper, which I quite like that. So again, I've got just my distressing. So I'm just going to distress around the edges of this paper, because obviously where I've torn it, we've got a lot of white showing. I don't really like the look of that. Well, I don't dislike it, but I don't like the look of it for this particular journal. So I'm just going to literally do this. Yeah, I just thought, well, I'm going to be doing this anyway, you know, for an hour or so this morning, so I could just come and do it here. I mean, unfortunately, it does take quite a bit of forward thinking and preparation to bring everything down to my son's workspace, so, you know, it's quite time consuming, but anyway. So I'm going to glue that onto the inside cover. Now, I don't know whether to have it off to one side slightly or whether to kind of stick it down like that. I'm probably going, you know, in the centre, I'm probably going to put it nearer the spine because I will probably put some trim down the side. So obviously I've got my glue here. It's just that same Anita's tacky glue. Just going to then apply glue all around here. Yes, this video is going to obviously be a little bit scatty because it's quite ad hoc really, what, you know, because I haven't really planned what I'm doing here. So, you know, we'll just kind of work with it together and see what comes really. Had a really super busy weekend, and but really nice. Yesterday was actually quite nice weather. Well, it wasn't bright and sunny or anything, but it was still with no wind. I love days like that. So we went for a really nice walk along the seafront. We're quite lucky where we live, we're near the beach. So we went for a nice walk along the seafront, and yeah, had a really nice day. Got lots of nice fresh air, which it seems to have been raining endlessly for weeks. So it was quite nice to get some fresh air really. And on Saturday we even managed to come in a little bike ride, which again, it's been a long time since we've managed to do that because the weather's not been too great. I don't know quite what that is down there. I might have to get a wipe and wipe that. Right, so that's that. And that's hopefully stuck down. I was obviously using my card I have done recently. So this obviously to form a pocket, or I could do a kind of tuck spot. I think I've said before, I mean, this particular scrapbook paper is, you know, it's quite thick. So to be honest, it's thick enough now. But I did wonder about kind of layering it. I've got some of this file folder here, and I love it in this kind of buff coloured colour. I love it in this buff colour. So what I could do is kind of have it like this. So as we've got an edge around the pocket. I quite like that look. And this is one that I have already done for another page, which is a folding, you know, booklet flip thing. And as you can see, obviously the edge is around there, which I think that's quite nice. So I might do that on this. What I'm going to do is probably use this side, and then I should just cut it kind of roughly to size. So if I cut it here. And I did say last week about cutting into the fold, but obviously this doesn't matter for this because I'm not using this as a booklet. I'm just using it as a pocket. So what I'm going to do is probably just glue that down like that. but what I could do first, I brought along, and I'm saying I brought along now, I might be able to find it. I brought along my Stays On, and I brought along a corner stamp, or what I'm going to use as a corner stamp anyway. So I could just stamp a couple of little corners, which I really like doing. So now I'm just trying to locate the other stamp that I was going to use. No, let's have to see what buried in amongst my huge piles of stuff that I brought down for this video. Right, I shall go for this one rather than bore you all with looking for it. So I'm going to just cut this out around here. Like that. And again, I haven't bought anything to put the rubbish in, so I have to then clear up all the mess that I make in my son's room. There we go. Right. So it's a little bit on the big side. I will just trim it down a bit here. Like that. And pop that. So that's a better size, but it's still a little bit on the big side. So I'll just trim it down slightly more. And I did say last week about, you know, when I'm kind of deliberating what to put where, you know, wow, this is where I wish I was kind of live and I could actually ask you guys what you think. I mean, I haven't ever joined in a live stream. I know that Jessica does live streams sometimes, but unfortunately, kind of due to the time difference, they're either when I'm kind of going to bed, because I'm a bit of an early bird and like to go to bed by about 10. And I do get up, you know, quite early, about 5:40 normally, but I try and then do some exercise and things, and then obviously the school run, or you know, going to work. So mornings not ideal. I kind of sometimes check my iPad, you know, for messages and what have you, for about 10-15 minutes before I actually get out of bed. But other than that, you know, there's certainly no time to be joining in a live thing. I did one day very quickly have time to just kind of say hi, and oh, it looked such fun because I had never done one before, you know, joined in one. I don't mean me being the live person, but you know, joined in one, and it looked such fun because people, I'm just stamping up the corners here, so let me move the book slightly so they're more in frame. It looked such fun. People, I didn't realise this was how it was going to work, but as soon as you join, you can kind of see all the chat that's happening amongst all the people who are viewing, which looked really good fun. You know, so yeah, I think they look really great fun. But when I was saying last week, oh, this is where I wish I was live, I mean, wow, that feels very scary to me. So it's not that I'm considering doing live feeds or anything like that, because yeah, it kind of seems a little bit nerve-wracking for me. I get nervous even about doing these kinds of videos, and these obviously I could just delete them and not bother uploading them if they were, you know, awful. Right, so that's that. Now what I could do is kind of layer it up and go for a double layer, but I'm not going to, because I'm going to put other things around the page and it may then get a bit too busy. So I'm going to probably just stick that on like that. Now I'm just wondering whether I should have had like a little thumb hole, but unfortunately I haven't bought my thumb hole, you know, my circle punch to do the thumb hole. But what I have brought along, you see, is this lace trim. Now this was some of the lace trim gifted to me by Laura. Really pretty because it's a kind of crocheted lace, and I thought this would go rather nicely with this book. So I could put some of that up there or down there. But what I've also brought along to possibly use are some fabric ruffles. So just kind of, these have been stitched on the sewing machine, and I could kind of have that down the side. So I just want to kind of place everything before I go, you know, randomly gluing stuff down. I like to kind of just check what I think, even if kind of they're not then exactly where they're going to go once they're glued, and get a rough idea of where I'm going with the page. And I've also brought along these little paper flowers that I've made, which again I'm going to try and do a tutorial for these. So I could have one of those stuck there. I mean, I think that looks really nice, you know, just like that, and doesn't really need anything more on that page. So I'm going to go for that, I think. So my first thing will be sticking this image obviously onto the card. I'm just wondering, had I inked that around the edge? I can't remember now. Let me have a look. Don't think I had. So I'm just going to ink that up around the edge. Yes, talking of the fabric ruffles, now I have several videos that I'm going to hopefully do this afternoon. I don't know whether I will actually have time or not really. I'm going to try to. I mean, these are kind of ideal on your iPad because obviously you can just upload them straight to YouTube. When I do them on my camera, and particularly when my camera keeps on flicking off, they're pretty time consuming because then you have to, well, if it's flicked off and I have to join the two clips together, that's very time consuming because I have to obviously download them from the camera, then go into Movie Maker, join the clips, and sometimes that can take, you know, literally an hour or something. And then only once that's done can you then upload it to YouTube, which again sometimes can take, you know, a really long time. Anyway, so hopefully I'm going to be uploading, or, you know, videoing some things. But yeah, I can't really use my son's desk obviously all the time, you know, because obviously when he's not at school, he's obviously at his desk and, you know, isn't probably wanting me sat here with all my stuff everywhere. And yeah, I mean, obviously it's not the ideal place necessarily for showing things. So it's great for sitting at his desk doing these process videos and tutorials, but it's not necessarily the best place for actually kind of showing, you know, doing a flip through of a journal or anything like that. But yes, where I was actually going with that before I started waffling on, so sorry, I just, you know, kind of when you're sat here on your own and you're filming, you kind of aware that obviously people don't want to watch you in silence. I'm sure they don't. But having said that, I'm not sure how much they want to hear me waffling either. But anyway, I'll carry on waffling. So I'm just going to trim this down slightly more because it actually still was quite on the big side. Like that. Yeah, where I was going with that before I started going on at all was at the weekend very busy and made loads of things. I don't tend to post out at weekends. I have done sometimes, but I mean, I think I've said before, our post office is awful and quite often is not even open, even though they are advertised as being open and what have you, but you get there and they make excuses why they can't post things out. So there's that, and also kind of obviously busy, you know, because everyone's at home and things. So although I can kind of obviously creep crafting in and things, you know, while we're watching a movie or whatever, or when I get up, you know, kind of early in the morning before everyone else is up, I kind of do quite a bit. I don't tend to do the posting, but what I did do this particular weekend, now I'm just going to glue some of this crochet trim on the bottom. So I'm going to cut it like that. Oh, that's quite nice, isn't it, when it's kind of slightly curved? I don't know whether I can get that necessarily. Let's try that because that looks really, really cool like that. Yeah, so this weekend what I did was I have made some things called Ruffle sacks. I have listed them in my shop, but I haven't actually done a video of them yet. And I don't know whether they would be a good idea or not, but basically they're just little sacks containing, I mean, when I say sacks, I'm talking like a little fabric bag, and I'm no seamstress, so, you know, they're not like a professionally stitched bag or anything, but they're just a cute sack with these kinds of ruffles in them, containing a variety of these ruffles. Because, you know, not everyone has access to a sewing machine, or not everyone can be bothered to obviously sew them. You know, people don't necessarily like sewing or whatever. And I just think, certainly before I got a sewing machine, you know, I kind of always thought, oh, if only I could buy things like that. You know, and maybe you can, but I haven't seen any. So I thought I would create some things called ruffle sacks for people who, you know, just as a gift for other people or to buy for yourself. I'm just going to glue this down with some hot glue. So obviously my glue gun, it was plugged into the side. Just going to literally, oops, just knocked my other glue on the floor now. Stick that along there. Yeah, I just thought those ruffle sacks, they may be quite nice for people who, you know, for whatever reason can't make their own, you know, or don't have kind of spare fabric or anything like that. So I've made a couple of those and just trialing them, just seeing how they go, whether they would be something that people would like or not. And obviously, yeah, I'd like to know kind of, you know, what people think, whether they would be quite good to have or not really. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I mean, obviously I'm well aware that most, you know, or not necessarily most, but a lot of people can make their own ruffles, but you know, again, sometimes it's nice to have different things that you haven't made, and sometimes it's nice to just have a bundle of stuff made ready to use that you don't have to make. So love that flower there. Going to pop that on here, and I will do that with the hot glue. I put it just here, just check. So obviously that's kind of on the ruffle, so what I'm going to do to make it a bit more rigid is just glue that ruffle down right under where that flower is, so it's not coming up, because you know, if the ruffle was kind of not glued right to the edge, I don't want the flower kind of lifting at all. So I think that page is looking super cute, and obviously there's the pocket there. I've brought along just, you know, I'm not sure whether I will keep this particular tag in there, but I've just brought along a little tag that, you know, potentially could go in there. So that's that. Now I'm not going to probably do this page right now, though I could. I thought I would do, just going through the book, these couple of pages. So I've just laid a couple of things in here ready. Now what I've done, I've got again the pink paint. Actually these two pages are actually, I'm never sure whether you pronounce it gesso or gesso, but gessoed over first and then put the pink paint over. And then what I've done, this side I have started distress inking around the pink, because obviously it's quite vibrant and bright. So I'm just distress inking over it so that it looks, you know, a little more blended with the rest of the journal. And then I've got this corner piece that obviously I have already made. And then here I've just got, this is from this book which I've brought along, which I managed to pick up, which love this book. And this book was such a bargain, it was just £1. And it's the Federation of Master Builders, 1951. And it's so interesting. I mean, it is quite fragile and, you know, not in very good shape, which I assume is why it was only £1 really. But it's got really interesting articles and adverts and what have you in there. And lots of pieces of kind of what can be used as ephemera in journals. I mean, how cute is this? So I might have to use this in a page of the book, because that's just super cute, isn't it? Loads of different things anyway. So yeah, I think they're really, really nice. So I have just torn out a page from that book, which I thought I might put on this facing page. So I'm just going to again lay out kind of a double page spread here, just to see how it's going to look together. I have this cute cake image, which again, this is just on some coffee dyed cardstock or scrapbook paper, and I thought that that went quite nicely. Actually, I've just realised I have not inked up this side, so I'm just going to do that. Obviously, I'm not re-inking the you know, blending tool thing yet, because actually it's got quite a bit of ink still left on it. Now, if I'm going to glue that text page down, obviously I don't really need to ink the whole page, so I'm just going to ink a bit of it. And as the same here, I haven't inked really the bottom, because obviously if I'm going to have that corner tuck spot, I don't really need to ink the bottom. So I'm kind of thinking if I had that like that. I've also brought along some mini doilies, so I could have kind of a doily on this page, either there, maybe behind that, or maybe I could cut it in half. Yeah, sometimes I just kind of like making things that, you know, I don't know about you, but, you know, like shopping. I like shopping. My daughter likes shopping, so, and lots of women I work with like shopping, so I think kind of it's quite common. And I know that my sisters like shopping, so, you know, and sometimes kind of it's nice to have things that are kind of affordable, not too much of an expense, you know, but are nice to receive through the post. I mean, oh gosh, don't you love it when you've ordered something and it arrives, and it's really great, isn't it? So that's kind of the thinking behind my little, like the kits and like the ruffle sacks and things, because I just think they're kind of like a cheaper item. I'm not saying they're really cheap, but you know, they're cheaper, and you know, so kind of they're doable for a lot of people, you know. And kind of if you just fancy treating yourself to something, then I think it's quite nice to, you know, have something that's kind of affordable. And you know, I'm just going to cut some of this crochet. I'm just going to cut a random length and just kind of lay it around and see if it looks good anywhere. Yeah, just kind of like nice to have things that you can just kind of buy like that, and then have something that hasn't broke the bank, but something really nice to receive through the post and is useful. You know, kind of then when you're making a journal, you can just grab either the tags from the tag bags or the ruffles, or, you know, whatever. Then it obviously makes putting your projects together much quicker. So anyway, enough waffling there. This is how this is coming along at the moment. I'm going to just grab from the back where I had a few of those fussy cut flowers. Just grab a couple more out and just see whether kind of any would be good around. I don't know whether I'm kind of like, well, I mean, obviously I'm the same height as normal on my son's desk, but for some reason when I'm looking in the iPad, I don't seem to be getting everything in. But I suppose that's because I'm working on a journal and not just the embellishments this time. So, I mean, that looks quite cute, having it like that. It obviously brings the flower in across the page. And then, I mean, I could put another doily down, you know, here if I wanted, but actually I'm not that keen on that, having just tried that. And then I brought along kind of some of my favourite stamped images. So, I mean, I could incorporate a stamped image kind of somewhere. I have these little journaling spots. I love those. And obviously I love my frames. And love the butterflies. So I brought some of those along, and also hot air balloons. I mean, I love all of these stamped images. So just have a look and see whether I could use any of these things on this page. I mean, I could just kind of have it like that, I suppose, really. I think that looks quite nice. And then what I could do is have a fabric ruffle either frame completely, either at the top, or it could run right down the side. Actually, that looks quite nice. So I'm going to get gluing this down. And I think I've said before, I don't know about you, but my problem seems to come when I overthink things. And obviously I'm not necessarily overthinking this because I'm busy chatting and waffling away. So I'm just kind of going with the flow and sticking things down, which I find just works much better. It's when I'm quite quiet and in a thoughtful kind of mode, that's when all my plans kind of go out the window, and I sometimes can achieve nothing, literally nothing. I can just sit there for ages and ages and ages and nothing comes together at all. So actually this kind of works better for me, doing these process videos where I'm then just chatting away, not so much overthinking what I'm actually doing. So then what I'm going to do is obviously stick this page down. So I'm just going to glue that down. I'm so sorry that this is slightly out of frame. What I could do is try and raise the iPad. The problem is I don't even know whether you're able to do 2 videos on an iPad and join them, but certainly I wouldn't have the know-how to do that. So it would mean me doing it while I'm filming, and you'd all be feeling seasick with me obviously trying to balance it on top of some boxes or something, you know, whilst filming. So I'd probably spare you that, but just try and bear this in mind for the next time I do one of these. So just gluing this page on like that. Like that. And then this was going kind of just here with just that doily kind of quite randomly placed. And then I was just having the flowers kind of to the side. Gosh, it's not really that much room because I've got all my things laying around. I was just going to have that to the side, so just going to glue that on like that. Yeah, why do the weekends fly so quickly? It's really a shame, isn't it? I really hate it when they're over and everyone's back at school and work. And then the kids are breaking up this week for the Easter holidays. So I am always gutted when the school holidays end as well. And, you know, really wish that the children didn't have to go back. So I'm looking forward to them breaking up on Friday. So now what I'm going to do is use this as a tuck spot, I think, like that. But this one actually is quite fragile. So what I might do is back this onto some more of this, you know, file folder. I'm going to do it so that it's not showing though. So I'm just kind of literally backing it on there for, you know, rigidity's sake. If that makes sense. So I'm just going to kind of glue that like this. And what I could have done was obviously stitched around the edge of this, would have looked really nice. But again, obviously because I'm doing this process video, I haven't got my sewing machine here. I don't want to go nipping downstairs, kind of stitching it and then, you know, having to try and fathom out how to join the videos. As I say, I don't even know whether that's something that's possible with these, you know, iPad video things. I mean, obviously I can on my camera, although even that was a kind of bit of a learning experience, but it's all good, isn't it? You know, we're all kind of learning together and picking up kind of how to do things, which is always a good thing, I suppose. I think my sons were quite impressed when I kind of fathomed out how to join the 2 videos together and stopped asking them to do it for me. Well, impressed and obviously relieved that they didn't have to actually then do it for me, because my oldest son, he's 15, and he's a lovely, lovely boy, but obviously has his moments, as 15-year-olds do, where he, well, I'm sure that if you've got children, particularly teenagers, or been through having teenagers, I'm sure you get what I'm saying here. So, but he is very helpful. I mustn't say that, and it's his desk that I'm using. So, you know. But yeah, he I think was pleased that he didn't have to keep on joining my videos together. But he did it a couple of times, and then to be fair, my younger son, you know, he did it a couple of times too, and then obviously they were pleased when I said, oh, I've managed to join them together. So it was just kind of trial and error that I managed to do it. So there we go. Just glued that. Just check it's glued again. And then what I'm going to do is just ink around the edges. Again, don't have to be too neat or anything about it. It's you know, really part of the charm, I think, to look pretty rustic. I've got a little torn bit coming up here, so I could either leave that, which I quite like it, I don't dislike it, or I could kind of glue it down, but actually I kind of quite like it like that. Right, so just literally knocking things off of here, left, right and centre really. You can probably just hear things dropping continually. So I'm going to just literally glue that down on two sides to make the tuck spot. And the reason I'm obviously gluing it on these two rather than these two is obviously because I'm having these flowers stuck over it. So I'm going to just literally take my glue again and just glue down one, just on those two sides. Now I've lost my lid for my glue. I'm really disorganised today. I don't know what's going on. What is going on with me? I'm sometimes like this as well when it's coming up for the school holidays. I think because I'm kind of aware that the children are going to be finishing, I feel like kind of in a rush that, oh, I must do this, I must do that, I must do the other, you know, before they finish. I mean, as you can imagine, my 15-year-old probably isn't really even fussed about spending any time with me anyway. You know, but I guess kind of you're just aware that you have people in the house and other noise going on, and, you know, it's not the same, is it? So that's that. And then I'm just going to take this flower and I'm going to stick that on there. And actually, I mean, I could just stick that kind of on a couple of elements so you've got another tuck spot there. So I might do that. I'm going to just glue it like this. Hope I'm in frame for this bit. Like that. And I have already actually distress inked around these flowers, I think, if I recall. So just glue that down like that. And then you've got kind of two tuck spots. So I'm just going to glue that down. I mean, obviously I've got my flower now, my junk journal flower, which is making it a little bit bulky when I'm pressing it down. But anyway, I'm sure you get the idea. So that's that. And then you know, I don't think I brought along a tag for there, but anyway, can just pop tags in. I have got this small envelope that I can just kind of demonstrate, so that will just go in there. Right, so the facing page, and this is probably going to be the last page that I do because I'm just, have a look at my camera, 37 minutes I'm up to, so, you know, kind of obviously aware of the time element here. So, and I said I was going to stick that there, and possibly a little frame here, and then I was going to have the fabric ruffle going down the side like that, and then I've just got a paper flower here which I could kind of just pop it on there, although I'm not sure how brilliantly that would be over the ruffle, but I could have it kind of, you know, somewhere else. So I'm going to start by gluing this particular corner pocket down. I think I have already inked this around the edges, but it doesn't hurt to do it a second time if I have. So I would just ink that like that. Yeah, I have already done this. So that's that, and then I'm going to glue it onto the page. Like this. And of course it's Easter this weekend, so I need to buy my Easter eggs. Haven't done that yet. I'm probably well behind the game. I'm sure lots of people have probably already bought theirs ages ago, but I'm a bit of a kind of last minute person. I like to, I say I like to, I'm not saying I necessarily like to, but that's just, it's just how I am, last minute, I think. Well, I'm very organised with some things, but when it comes to things like that, I think what happens is it feels like ages away. Oh, it's ages away, it's ages away, and then suddenly, before you know it, it's like, oh, it's Easter, it's here. Best crack on and get those Easter eggs. Whereas other things, particularly if it's a job I'm not really keen on, then I'm pretty organised because I like to get it out of the way so that I can then get on with things that I prefer to do. I mean, kind kind of while I was studying, when I had kind of any essays to do or anything, I just cracked on and did them kind of as soon as I got them, really, because I mean obviously I would rather be doing other things, so I just wanted to get them done and dusted. So yeah, right, now don't want to obviously stick that flower over her face or anything, so I think it will have to go like this, and then get my ruffle. I think it goes that way up actually, because it's got these tiny sort of dots. Now this has been coffee dyed, this it's just cotton fabric, that just goes there. I've also got a butterfly, so I could pop a butterfly on this page as well. I just didn't come up. Oh, isn't it strange? Sometimes the ink seems to stay on there, and other times it just kind of, it's gone instantly. Whoa! Flipped it. And of course the clocks went forward yesterday, so lost an hour. I hate that. I mean, I like it once they've gone forward, but I hate that day. It's so short. That 1 hour really does make a lot of difference, doesn't it? But it's nice now to obviously have the lighter evenings. That is nice. Could put that butterfly over there on that page. Right. So what I'm going to do, I will probably glue my ruffle down first. No, I'm going to stick the flower down. So just pop this on like this. Yeah, I think I've said before, a bit of a kind of random person, you know, kind of, I like to mix it up and do kind of different types of journals. So this one, I guess, is Virgin, along the lines of my nursery rhyme one that I did, which was also an author book, and just really nice to do something really fun and colourful. So that's why I kind of just fancy doing this one. Right, I'm going to glue that down there. And I mean, as you can see, this ruffle, you know, it's quite narrow on this end, gets fatter at this end. I don't think that matters. I mean, obviously, you know, maybe kind of other people would think that matters, but, you know, I don't mind that. So I'm just going to stick it down here, again, using the hot glue. And I think I've said before, you can use the other glue. I just like the hot glue for ruffles because actually it's nice and quick, and they're then kind of stuck there, you know, rather than kind of having to clip them down, waiting for them to dry for ages. So that's that. Now, do I want this frame or don't I? What does everyone else think? Again, this is where the live thing would be good, wouldn't it? And what about the butterfly? Do we like that there, or do we like it over here? I do quite like it on those flowers. I think that looks really nice. Ooh, decisions, decisions. Now this flower, I do want this flower somewhere. Kind of determined to have it, but I don't think it's necessarily best on the ruffle. Perhaps I should put the frame. What do we think? What do we think? I just can't decide now. Or perhaps I should go for the hot air balloon. I think it's a bit lost actually up there because there's quite a bit of blank space. Perhaps I'll have it like that. Yeah. So I'm going to just glue this down. And again, I mean, you could make that another tuck spot actually by just kind of gluing it there, but I'm not going to do that because, you know, although the pages on this journal are very, very busy. So, I mean, for instance, on this page, there's really no room for journaling. It is going to have plenty of tags and pockets and what have you, because, I mean, obviously, you know, I'm not going to say every page because maybe not every page will have a pocket, but most pages will have a pocket, you know, or a tuck spot. I mean, this page's got two, this one's got one, but also a lot of the pockets, a lot of the pages are pockets, which are huge. So there may be booklets and things like that in there. So, I mean, although the pages are busy with not much room for journaling, actually, you know, the overall journal is going to have lots of pull-out bits and bobs. So there will be lots of space. So I'm going to pop that butterfly over there because I think he looks cute. Let me just stick him down. like that. And then I was going to have that crochet lace, wasn't I? And I've obviously forgotten to put that on. Too much chatting, you see. Now, do I quite like that or just there? Quite like it just there. So just line it up so that I see roughly the length of it. And then just glue it on. There we go. Okay, so the only thing left now is this flower that I'm so hell-bent on using. Unless I use a different flower. I did bring some other ones along. Just having a look. I've got this little coffee dyed flower, which actually is quite blue. It's quite sweet in the centre, doesn't it? And I brought along some others that I've kind of sprayed and things. So I've got this cute pink one. That's quite pretty, isn't it? So I'm just wondering, should I do like a little cluster kind of going on? But then that looks, to me, that looks a bit like I'm trying to be symmetrical with that, which I'm not keen on that. As I have it up there. And this flower, this was some kind of, I don't know whether they're vintage, but certainly they were gifted to me by my friend at work, Louise, by her mum, who was having a massive clear out, and she gifted me lots of lace, which oh, so grateful for. It's been heaven sent. And there were just this little bag of these flowers, which were really sweet. So I've just taken them off of the stems and things, which were, you know, a little bit kind of tatty, and put them like that. So I could have that there, not like that. See, when I take it away, I think it looks a bit boring. So perhaps I should just have the pale pink one, because then that's not so in your face. So I've just inked that up, and then I'm just going to glue that on like that. There we go. And just glue it on. I probably won't put a centre in it, because obviously I'm going to have a tag or something going in here. So I don't want anything too lumpy kind of behind a tag, if you see what I mean. So I might just leave that like that, and I think that looks really pretty. Now, hopefully you can see that page spread. As I said, my iPad seems a little bit kind of low down to get the whole thing in. So what I'm going to do is just lift it slightly. Whoa. So hopefully you can kind of see then the whole double page in. So really like those. So now for these 2 pages, I just need to literally make the tags to go into the 3 tuck slots. So I may have some tags kind of in my stash kind of already made, but if not, I'll have to make some separately. So that's those. And then that was, oops, that was the first page that we made here. So that's that one, which actually now I'm looking and thinking perhaps we should have a little flower somewhere. Oh, I can't resist these flowers. I really love them. Yeah, I think I might have to stick that flower on just before we go. So do I like it down there or up here? What does everyone think? No, because that to me looks like it's kind of like a square frame around that now. So I'm going to pop it down there. So I'm just going to glue it on very quickly, kind of before I finish the video. And then probably that's all I'm going to get to do on this journal today. Which is a bit of a shame, because I'm having a lot of fun now. I must crack on with those other couple of videos for my Etsy stuff. So yeah, I probably should leave it now for today. Right, so yeah, really like that. Hope that you had fun. Hope you like the kind of 3 pages that we've just done together. I'm kind of quite pleased with them. And then obviously I have kind of lots more to do in this journal, and I've just popped things where I think they might be likely to go. And obviously I've got lots more fussy cutting, because I've now used up most of those little flowers that I'd fussy cut out. So I'd best crack on with fussy cutting tonight while we're all watching TV. Yeah, so they didn't go as far as I'd hoped, but they are really pretty, aren't they? So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had fun. and thanks very much for watching. If you liked it, give us a thumbs up, and yeah, I'll be back soon. Thanks very much. Thanks, have a great day. Cheers, bye.